Hello everyone, and welcome back to Conrail's Ohio and West Virginia Division HO Scale Layout. Well, today we have once again ScaleTrains trying to destroy my wallet with another great run of SD40-2's. And as you guys can see, we have a couple from Santa Fe, we have a BN unit, as well as a CSX unit with ditch lights in the YN2 scheme. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we take a look at the newest run in 2025 of SD40-2's from ScaleTrains.
Alright everybody, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off with unboxing these from the shipping box from ScaleTrains. So you guys can see Oreo is going to be helping us out with opening this today. These locomotives I purchased direct from ScaleTrains. I pre-ordered them through ScaleTrains. Any of their locomotives or freight cars I get, I always pre-order direct from them, as that's generally the best price, and they're always pretty good with shipping out in a timely manner, etc. Now you can see I'm going to try and open this box here and try to be careful because, of course, Oreo wants to put his nose right where I'm trying to cut the tape open. So got to be a little careful there, but that's part of him giving us a little bit of help here opening these up. And as you can see, we got a piece of cardboard on the top here. We got some paper, which the cats will love playing in. And there's my bill, which we're going to very quickly get off screen there. And we're going to go ahead and there's our 4 SD40-2's. We're going to go ahead and we're going to see what the first one is here. It's the CSX 8199 in the YN2 scheme with ditch lights. Really excited for that unit. The next one here is our first Santa Fe unit with ditch lights, the 5179. And we'll have our Burlington Northern Whiteface unit here, number 6363. And last but not least, our second Santa Fe unit here, which is the 5177. So those are the units I picked up specifically. Those were kind of the ones I was most drawn to out of this run. So let's go ahead and let's head over to layout and take a closer look at these.
All right, everyone, let's go ahead and let's start off by getting our CSX 8199 out of the box here and take a look and see what we got going on here. Pretty much the standard ScaleTrains package box here, just kind of the old same thing they've been doing forever. These are nice and sturdy. I really like these. They kind of change up the old logo and what's on them here and there, so that's always kind of nice. And we get our lid off, and we've got a product manual here for the SD40-2. There's all the stuff if you want to talk to them, you know, and looks like we got the warranty kind of deal there. One of them fancy pants things you scan and takes you places. And, you know, all your information here, you know, about handling, removing, storing, cleaning, lubrication. There's our favorite section there. And, you know, some more stuff on operation, if you're adding a decoder, all these different things here for programming. There's our function chart, gonna need that. And Yeah, oh, look at that fancy pants picture there. You know, but a bunch of programming stuff, all the fun jazz there. That's your product manual. You got this little foam deal underneath that there. And then we get down here to the good stuff here. So as you can see, the clamshell deal's in this very, very foam-tastic box, which I very much enjoy. And you got your clamshell here. Give it a little shake-a-rooney there. I don't hear anything flopping around, so that's always good. So we'll go ahead and we'll open this up here like so. And we got our plastic sheath there, as you guys can see. Kind of bummed that didn't stay up in there. Any of you that have watched any of my videos before know that these drive me absolutely insane because you can never get them back in there. And they always like to fall over. Yep, there it goes. So I'll go ahead and set that off to the side. And let's go ahead and let's take our model out here. Now, one thing I use caution of with these ScaleTrains models, they have these like truck immobilizer deals. And sometimes these will get stuck under there. So make sure when you pick up your model and take it out there that those aren't on the bottom of it before you go to set it down, because you can really damage something there if you're not careful. So there we are. Go ahead and pull our little foam doodads out of here. Like so. And there she is. So let me go ahead and get the other models unboxed here. You guys will watch all those, and then we'll go ahead and start looking at some of the details on these units. All right, next up on our unboxing party here, we have our Burlington Northern Whiteface here. Now, I can't get to do it now, but I did hear something rattling around in this one, so hopefully it isn't anything too bad. You never really like to hear parts rattling around, but what are you gonna do? That's just kind of way she goes sometimes with this stuff. Is sometimes things come loose, so we'll have to see what we had rattling about in the package here. Okay, what do we got going on? Oh, we got us a wild plow there, so okay, well that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense now, so go ahead and open this slowly so that plow will fall out. Hopefully that plow will fall out, I hope. Let's see here, where'd that guy go? I'll get that out before it falls on the floor and I can never find it again. Okay, set that off to the side. So that's not good. You never like it when you have something rattling around before you even got a chance to break anything off yourself, you know. So go ahead and put this off to the side here for a minute, and let's take a look. It looks like the plow probably just came loose. It doesn't appear that anything's broken. Let's see if I can do the old put her back. I'm not going to glue it in or anything. I just want to see if it'll sit up in there and press back into where it should be. Maybe, kind of, sort of. Let's see, that doesn't want to go in. That's a bit annoying. Bit of a bummer there. Looks like it's kind of back on there, but it's kind of back on there good enough. But we'll have to take a harder look here with our look around here. I got a little gonna have to really give this one a good hearty look over here, guys. So let's go ahead and we'll move on to our Santa Fe units next. All right, now for our Santa Fe units, let's see what we got going on with these guys. Might only film unboxing one of these, provided I don't find anything rattling around here. But we got to actually find nothing rattling around first, which so far we're not looking too promising. Side note for anybody interested here, these clamshells seem a bit tighter this go around. Usually they're a little bit easier to pull off, but they're a little bit tight this time. I don't know what that's all about. Maybe they shrunk them down a little bit or something. Aha! There's our pesky little deal there, sticking on our truck. Go ahead and get this out of the way. ahead and get our handrail protector deals out of there. Oh, come on. Put those off, and there we are. There's our Santa Fe unit here. Looks pretty sharp right out of the box here. We'll have to take a finer look here and really do a good inspection on this here. But let me go ahead and get the R1 out of the box first and make sure there's nothing goofed up to report back to, and then we'll go ahead and we'll start doing a little bit of a deep dive into each of these units. All right, everyone, so let's go ahead and let's start off by taking a more detailed look here at our first unit, which is the CSX 8199. Now, before we really dive into this unit, I just want to put this disclaimer in here. I am not a like big time CSX model, or I just kind of model CSX a little bit to interchange with Conrail. So with that said, I don't really know a whole heck of a lot about some maybe the more finer detail stuff with CSX units. So I'm having to reference prototype photos and go from there. So if I do make an error like, oh, that's supposed to be this, or that's supposed to be that, put it down in the comments, guys, because like I said, I'm not a CSX expert. I'm just someone that thinks the whole YN2 paint scheme is sharp, and growing up in the 90s, I remember seeing it a lot, and it really looked cool. So let's go ahead and let's take a dive into this unit. As typical with our ScaleTrains stuff, we'll go ahead and we're going to start here with the front and kind of take a look. We got these really nice little MU hoses. They're very nicely detailed. They got a little bit of play to them, you know, so that way you don't have to worry about snapping them right off the first time you touch them. I got the whole coupler deal that I think's metal. It's got a little, you know, yellow paint on there because I don't know why. You know, got them little grab irons here on our very nicely shaped plow. Plow looks really good here. Does match the prototype photo as best as I can tell. We got a little MU hose. Again, that's another thing that looks really nice on here. Something that's kind of very, I remember seeing these on CSX units. They always looked sharp, kind of how that looks there. So I like seeing that ScaleTrains did that. Got your little coupler cut bar. It's pretty nice looking there. Now, one of the cool things about this is this detail here with our walkway step where the top is silver and the sides are yellow. Again, that is prototypical, so it does match the prototype, and it does look great. Here we can see our ditch lights here, these CSX style. I don't know if these were like an in-house build or something they did, but they really look cool. I always thought they looked neat. Our handrails, again, look really nice. Got some good paint on there. You know, they got a little flex in it, but they're in there. They're not going to fall off or nothing. Now, when we come here, we're going to take a look at these steps here from the side. These also look really great. Got that see-through walkway tread deal. Now, the one thing I'm a little curious about here is it looks like we got a little bit of a seam here, probably for whatever it takes to run the ditch lights. That's a bit of a bummer that seam is there. It looks like if you press down on it, it will flatten out, but that is there because, you know, some people are going to nitpick stuff like that. It doesn't really bother me. It's just more of I'm making note of it. When we take a look over here at our short hood, typical 90s CSX stuff with the class lights blanked out. We have our nose headlight. Looks really good. The paint's really sharp on this. Really sharp. Nice crisp lines. Well done there. As you can see, we have our windows and little wiper blades and everything. Number boards look great. The font matches. You got your whatever the heck horn that is. Put that in the comments because I don't know what kind of horn that is. It's a fancy pants horn. One of them ones with all the chimes on it. I don't know what those are, but anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll turn here to the side slightly. They got the CSX battery box door here with the slit in it. That's pretty big CSX deal there. They did that on pretty much all the EMDs as far as I'm aware. You got your little window vent there. Looks really nice. Cab numbering looks nice. Overall, looks really good. We got a little builder's plate there. All of your truck detail and everything really it's got a nice look to it. Everything's very crisp and sharp. And of course, ScaleTrains did us a solid and already painted the wheels, so we don't have to, because any of you that do weathering know how much of a pain in the rear end that can be. But you got your cab sunshade, your little box deal out here. Overall, the paint looks really nice on this. And the decals also are pretty good. They seem to have good legibility. I'm sure if you got a super Zoom deal. You could probably get in there and read all those, and you got your little Huntington Shops one down here. Up here on the top, we got all our lift rings and fans. Everything looks pretty good up there. Don't see anything too odd. Got whatever the heck this thingy is back here. Looks pretty detailed, so that's pretty cool. Now, I don't know if you guys see it just yet, but we have one small problem I've noticed with this unit since I took it out of the box, and we're missing a lift ring right there. That kind of stinks. Kind of stinks a little bit that that's not there, but maybe I could find it in the box, or I mean that's a pretty simple repair to make. Oh, back here on the rear, we've got the spare knuckle deals. You got the MU hose deal. Just, looks pretty good, typical stuff. Handrail's got a little bit of a like inward bend to them, but that's no biggie. Again, you got your class slates blanked out back here on the back. Got a little piece of dirt that was probably in the box. Overall, looks pretty sharp. You got all your fine little decals right there. Now, for this unit, I tried to find pictures from the late 90s of it to match the ScaleTrains time frame that they gave for this. I can only find like one or two, so trying to match all these decals and stuff is kind of not going to happen, because a lot of the pictures I found were from the early 2000s, and they add a bunch of warning labels and stuff. So overall, I think this unit really looks great. I'm very happy with this. Kind of wish I would have ordered one or two more of these, but with the price anymore, I couldn't justify it, seeing as I already have one I built myself. So next up, let's move on to our Burlington Northern unit and take a closer look at that. All right, everyone, so next up here, we have our Burlington Northern 6363. As with the CSX guys, I am not a Burlington Northern expert. This is more or less for run-through power on my layout. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but I'm not an expert in BN stuff, so you'll have to forgive me if I don't notice some obvious glaring detail issues. But let's go ahead and we'll start off again. Same as the CSX unit. We've got a nice looking plow that matches prototype photos best I can tell, and got some good MU hoses. Little MU cable up there looks good. Your air hose. Everything looks pretty sharp up here on the front end. Now, what was kind of neat, and the reason I picked this unit up was, you can see it has these little green box kind of ditch light looking deals. Those were actually strobe lights. In the early 90s, before ditch lights became standard, Conrail, BN, and I'm sure a few other railroads tried out running strobe lights on the front of the locomotives instead. And it's kind of a unique thing that only went on for, a short period for testing. But I thought it was really cool. Conrail did it on a handful of Dash 8s. So when I saw this unit, I was kind of like, I'd really like to have one of those for the layout, just to have that, even though it didn't last till my modeling time frame. Still just kind of cool. And then with this being a white face unit as well, it really was kind of just a neat piece to pick up. So, we got our grab irons on the nose. You got your blanked out class lights, your black walkway tread deal on the top, your number boards, headlight and all that. Everything looks pretty sharp. The only difference I noticed was it's the prototype photos I found from the 90s seemed to show this one with a high headlight and no ditch lights or strobe lights at all. And then it goes from that to like the late 90s. It had a nose headlight and regular style ditch lights. So unfortunately, again, I can't really compare prototype photos too much because I just don't have them. They weren't online when I looked. So again, you got your steps look really nice. The walkway tread deal now. You can see the stupid sanding line is kind of out here where it shouldn't be. I'm kind of annoyed by that a little bit. For any of you that don't know, these ScaleTrains units have these sanding lines, which tend to be, they look awesome, when it's on the railroad, but they tend to be a pain in the rear end for a lot of the time. Again, same as our CSX unit here, we got a little liftage. I'm not too fond of that. I don't know what that's all about. I think you could probably glue that down pretty easily and get it to sit flat. Not a huge concern. I'd rather have something minor like that than have like the paint be completely wrong or something. Which, speaking of our paint, our green looks pretty nice. It seems a bit dark, but that's probably correct for these. Again, I'm not a BN guy, so I'm not quite sure. But the decaling all looks really crisp. Our underframe detailing looks really great. All of our little traction motor cables and all that fun stuff. Roof detail also looks excellent. with all of our little lift rings and all the fun stuff up on the roof. You got some kind of horn and some fancy firecracker antennas. And you get back here to the back end, you got your, MU hoses again, your fancy big MU hose, your metal coupler, your little spare knuckles. Now, maybe I'm just a knucklehead or something, but them spare knuckles look awful small for how giant this here coupler is. I don't know why nobody ever brings that up, but, that's one of them stupid things you notice when you're looking at things. But, again, painted wheels, kind of the same jazz as the CSX unit, just in a BN unit. So, overall, pretty sharp. I like that little decal right there. It looks pretty good. But pretty sharp. As you guys saw when I took it out of the box, the plow was loose and flopping around. We did manage to press that back on there, but it's not all the way on there. As you guys can see, it's just kind of stuck in there a little bit. I'm going to actually have to glue that back on at the workbench if I want that right. But overall, pretty good looking. These stupid sanding lines are going to be the death of me, I swear, because they're all kind of sticking out here. I don't know what that's all about. I haven't had that much of an issue with my older run units. Maybe this one's probably loose is my, yeah. That's supposed to be glued down up there, so that's why that's happening. So that's a bit of a bummer that's a little messed up there, but what are you going to do? Can't win them all, guys. So go ahead and put this one off the side, and let's go ahead and bring our Santa Fe units over. All right, so last but not least, we have our Santa Fe 5177. We also have the 5179 as well, which we'll do a brief look at that one, but again, I'm not an expert in Santa Fe, so we're going to just try and look at a little bit of everything here and try and cover as much as I can. Now, again, really great detail up here on the front end with all the MU hoses and air hose connections. Ditch lights look pretty good. Got your handrails look pretty good. I will say that the color of the handrail really does match the paint color nicely. It might look a little bit lighter on camera, but in person it really does match very, very well. Looks very good. As you can see, we got our nose headlight and our blanked out class lights, because this was a 90s unit, obviously, since it has the ditch lights. Again, got your little hatch up here in the nose. Looks pretty good. Your number boards look really crisp and good. Wiper blades, all that fun stuff. And again, we'll come over here to the side. We got a little warning label inside the step here. Looks really nice. We've also got see-through walkway steps, just the R1. You got your cab windows that open too much, like always. Your full cab interior. I didn't mention any of the R1s because don't always remember everything. Now up here on the roof of our cab, we've got a whole boatload of stuff. You got yourself an air conditioner. You got two different kinds of antennas, a bunch of piping. Piping looks really good on there. Like, that is really, really sharp. I'd hate to have to open up this cab to do anything, but man, does that all look sharp. It's one of the things I really enjoy about some of these different railroads is just all the different cool stuff they did. And really cool thing about these ScaleTrains models, getting to see all that. Now, I'll note up here the front ditch light area of the Santa Fe unit doesn't seem to be sticking up at all. So that's good. At least something's not flopping around everywhere, so that's good. Of course, take a look at all of our underbody detail. All looks pretty sharp there. Again, all your fancy pants traction motor cables and all that stuff looks really good. Now, it almost looks like there's like some little squares underneath the yellow paint on the sill. I'll have to look at prototype photos and see if that's actually a thing or if that was just some ScaleTrains goof up. Now, I will note, like, some of the decal here along the side does look kind of wonky with, like, the seams and stuff. You can kind of see that a little bit, all these seams. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that or not. You Santa Fe guys kind of chime in. Doesn't look terrible. I mean, if you weathered it, would look like, a used locomotive anyway, so not a huge concern to me. Now, we look up here to the top, we got some cool stuff going on. We have our silenced exhaust hatch as well as these Q fans. Really cool to see those. I haven't seen those on SD40-2 yet, so pretty neat to see them here on this model. As you come around here to the back, of course, the Santa Fe did not use number boards on the rear, and there's no marker, no class lights or anything on the back end as well. Pretty plain Jane rear pilot here with, just your bare essentials. And I forgot to mention some kind of plow mentioned up, or some kind of horn up here mounted on a pedestal. That looks kind of neat. But overall, not too bad. Again, My only like real gripe might be how these decals look here on the sides. You see how we have like seams here, and then we kind of don't, like the decal just didn't want to sit right on here, or the pad printing, whatever you guys want to call it. It's, you know, to me it's decals because that's what it is, but the pad printing from the factory seems kind of not consistent, if you will. As you can see, you got a little black seam down here, and then it fades into no seam. So I don't know what the story is on that. Again, if I weathered this, you wouldn't be able to tell anyway, because all those seams would come out with a little wash anyway. So, you know, not a major thing, but I'm just pointing it out because, you know, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to ask and point things out like that. Really neat little piping up here on our nose. That's pretty freaking cool for our antenna there. I never noticed that on these units, so that looks pretty cool. You got your spare knuckles down here on the trucks, look pretty sharp. But overall, this unit looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and bring in the 5179 here, because we did have a small problem with this unit, because, you know, I can't seem to win for losing sometimes. This unit, when I took it out of the box, I noticed immediately our sand filler hatch is busted off. That's kind of frustrating because it is like actually legitimately broken off. I found it in the box. I put a piece of tape on it and taped it inside the clamshell because I'm not fixing that right now. But that was a little bit of a bummer. But other than that, it looked like this model's okay. So I don't know if it just got shimmied around or something in transport. UPS has been really good at sending my stuff around in circles lately. I don't know why. The other difference here with this unit, as you can see, is that it has a yellow horn that isn't mounted quite as high. It's a little bit lower than the other one. But otherwise, pretty much the same specs as the 5177, just a different number. So, pretty cool to see. So, let's go ahead and let's take a quick look at the weight on these, and then we'll take them over to the layout and really check them out a little bit more. Alright, so before we start weighing these, I did the usual Steve thing, and I forgot one of the more important parts of our initial inspection here. We're going to check some wheel gauge and just make sure everything looks pretty good. We'll check coupler height over on the layout here, but I'm not expecting to find anything with this. It's just more or less one of those things I like to check them anyway, just because once I know they're good, they're good. And then too, if anybody out there has a problem, you know, and they ask me, I know for sure that, like, nah, I didn't have nothing with mine, you know. So, that and two, if I have a problem, you guys would probably want to know. Because then you'll probably go check all yours, and, you know, we'll all know if we all have problems or not. But so far with ScaleTrains, a knock on the bench work, I haven't really had any major issues. You know, the minor stuff like what you guys are seeing today, just sometimes you have details that are loose or whatever have you, but I haven't had anything like major like anything that would like warrant, like I'd have to send in for warranty or anything. I've never had any like motor issues or decoder issues or anything. Just the occasional, you know, parts coming loose, which is to be expected when you're dealing with stuff this detailed. Now, I'll note here you got a little bit of our lubrication here on the bottom of the trucks. Some of these had that a little bit, but not all of them, but just a little bit. So let's go ahead and let's check out our weight here with our kitchen scale. So let's go ahead and we'll start off with the CSX unit and see what we got here. For our CSX unit, we have 17.95 ounces. Let's see. What else? Let's see what that's one. Or I don't know what that means. We got 1.122 pounds, 509 grams. So 17.95 ounces there, guys. So next up for our BN unit, we're just going to see what we got here. We have 18.20, so our BN unit's actually heavier. I'm going to double check that there. Interesting. See, that's why I do this, because it's kind of weird how like some of these will weigh slightly more for no discernible reason. They'll just have just a little bit more weight to them. And it's kind of interesting to me. I don't know why. See, 18.45 on our first Santa Fe unit. So Must have something to do with all the weight of the details on these or something. I don't quite know. Go ahead and try out our last one here. 18.13. So interesting. Kind of interesting. So guys, let's head over to the layout and actually take a look at coupler height and all that fun jazz here. All right, everyone. So we got our coupler height gauge set up over here. And of course, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to take a quick look here. Looks like our front coupler is right about on the money there. It looks good to me. Check our rear coupler on our CSX unit here. And boom, that's looking pretty good. It looks like it could be just a hair on the low side, but I wouldn't really fret about that too much. That looks pretty close to me. Not enough to bother me and have to rip this thing apart or anything. Let's go ahead and let's get our BN unit over here now. Take a look at it and see what we got here. And again, our coupler looks pretty good. It might be just a touch on the low side. Just a touch. Not a lot, but just a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell with the camera angle how it's set up there, but in person it looked a little bit low. Go ahead and check out our rear coupler here. And that one looks pretty good. That one's about centered, so go ahead and call that a win there. Let's go ahead and let's grab our first of our Santa Fe units and see what we got going on over here. And yeah, come on. Looks like our plow is kind of catching on the front of our coupler gauge there. And that one, again, it just appears just slightly low, not much, just a hair. It's going to look a lot worse on camera than it really is. Just ever so slightly low. That could have to do with the trip pin hitting on the plow as well. So, and again, my coupler gauge. Okay, there we go. And again, just a touch low. I mean, just a little bit low on our Santa Fe unit there. So let's take a look at our other Santa Fe unit here real quick and see what it looks like. We'll start off with the rear because that's the way this unit was pointed. If I can get it on the dang track here. And again, we're looking just a little bit low, not very much. If that'll... All right, there we go. And again, just a touch low. So overall, it seems like the couplers are running just a little bit low on this run. Maybe it's my coupler gauge. You guys comment down below with your own. If you bought units from this run, what did you run into with coupler height? Were they coming up a little bit low? Or is Steve's coupler height gauge just absolute trash? Because that's a possibility as well. All right, everyone. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start taking a look at some of our lighting functions here on these units, as well as some of our sound functions. I'm going to go ahead and just move through some of the lighting functions and give you a little thought of what I think they look like and how bright they are. I know it's going to be kind of hard to tell with the lighting here on the layout, but in reality, I mean, the majority of you, this is going to be kind of the lighting you're going to be used to with your models, so you'll be able to get pretty good ideas of how bright the lights really are. So go ahead and we'll turn on F0 here and get our headlight on, our nose headlight, and it's pretty dang bright. It looks really good. It looks pretty much like what it does in the camera. It has a good brightness to it. Not too much, but not too little there. We'll go ahead and we'll hit F6. There's our ditch lights, and boy, those are really bright. Those are brighter than the headlight, similar to what they look like on the camera, and they are flashing when you hit the horn. So there you can see that flashing really good. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit F8 and we're going to turn on our locomotive here with the sound. So there's that really good sound, an EMD prime mover there with the loc sound. Now, if you look closely, it's kind of hard to see here, but when you turn on F8, the number board lights come on, which that's about what they look like. They're not too bright. And then down here at the bottom here of the nose, you can see we have walkway lights on these units as well. There's one located down here on the side as well as one located on the rear. So we have let's go ahead and run through some of our sound functions here. We have F1 with the bell. Sounds pretty good. Of course, F2's our horn. You guys already heard that. F3 gives us the handbrake. That's pretty cool. I've never seen that one as F3 before. Now, F4 is your dynamic brake. F5, I don't believe has a function on here because it's supposed to be for class lights. F6 is obviously our ditch lights. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn on our drive hold feature, which is F9. And we're going to go ahead and notch this unit up a little bit. Alright, so there you guys have it. That's a little look at the lighting and sound for our CSX unit here. Now I want to note, in order to test these units, I had to go ahead and program each one of them to the road number so that way I could have all 3 units on the layout, or all 4 units on the layout at the same time. And when I went to do that, I did have a minor problem with my front ditch lights here on my CSX unit. They were kind of popped up a little bit. I don't know if I can recreate that right now or not, but basically, like, I just pushed down up here in the front. But when I first turned it on, the front ditch lights didn't want to come on at all. And I basically just took the old finger and pushed down right there. I believe the LEDs for these are mounted directly in the ditch light, and then ScaleTrains use like contact pads underneath there to make the connection, so that way the LEDs are hard mounted to the shell, but the shell will still separate from the body. We'll find out about that in a little bit when we take this over to the workbench and pop the shell off, but let's go ahead and let's move on to our Burlington Northern unit. All right, everyone, now so we have our Burlington Northern unit here with our front strobe lights on it here. Now I'm running into a small problem here, guys. Whenever I put track power to it, for some reason the strobe lights keep just coming on. I don't know why. I haven't quite figured that out yet. I don't know if I maybe changed one of the functions by accident or something when I was reprogramming the road number, but I didn't change anything other than just the road number, so I don't quite know what's going on there. But anyway, you guys can see the strobe lights already flashing there, so go ahead, and there's our headlight, which is F0, and again, that's pretty good and bright. ScaleTrains has really gotten these good to where they're bright, but they're not too bright. Overall, it looks sharp. F6, I believe, would be our strobe lights, because it's technically ditch lights or whatever. And as you guys can see, they have that really cool pattern going on there where they're kind of strobing back and forth and all that fun jazz. I believe that's prototypically how these were. I don't think I've ever actually seen a video of a locomotive that had them, so kind of neat to see that. Definitely a cool, like, oddball thing ScaleTrains managed to do with these here. So let's go ahead and flip on. We're going to turn on our locomotive here with function number 8. You guys can see the number boards come on, and this one also has the step and, well, has the walkway lights as well. And number boards look really good on these. It seems like ScaleTrains kind of turned down the brightness on the number boards, so a little more prototypical looking, and it looks really, really good. Really, really good. So now let's run through some functions here. F1 is our bell. F2 is our horn. And then F3, all the rest are essentially the same. We're going to go ahead and notch it up the same as the last one and see how it sounds here. All right, so that's the lighting and sound for our BN unit here. Next time I'll go ahead and bring our two Santa Fe units up and we'll take a look at those. All right, so now we have our Santa Fe 5177 up here. We're gonna go ahead and turn on our headlight here. And this one, it's not showing up to on the camera, but it seems like the bottom headlight bulb deal is a little bit dimmer on this one than the top, this bottom one. When you look at it straight from the front, you can kind of see it a little bit more, but it's definitely a little bit dimmer, and the top one's a little bit brighter, so that kind of stinks that that one's off a little bit. There's our ditch lights, and much like I expected, they're very bright. That was pretty much kind of assumed as much that those would be really bright on these. So now let's go ahead and turn on F8 and see our number boards and walkway lights. There you guys can kind of see those number boards a little bit better. They're a bit harder to see on this unit, but they do work. They do look good. Also have the walkway lights as well on this. And much like our other units, the bell, our horn, and then we'll go ahead and notch this unit up as well because this should have a silenced exhaust, so it should sound different. All right, so there's our first unit there. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do this little cheesy here. Go ahead and we're going to pull up our 5179 here. And since I haven't shown the back end lights on any of these yet, I'll go ahead and use this one because it's already pointed the right way. So for our 5179, there's our rear headlight. And I don't really get too carried away with judging rear headlights, but it looks pretty good. It's about like what it looks like in the camera. It's pretty good and bright. It's not too much, but it's got a good brightness to it. And then for this unit, I also noticed it has a different horn. So it does sound different, which is pretty cool. ScaleTrains is really, really good with putting the right sound file with the right horn on these locomotives whenever they do them. So it's always a nice feature of their stuff. I don't have to worry about playing with putting the right horn and picking the right one and all that fun stuff. So that's good to see. And while we have this unit up here, I'm going to go ahead and turn on our sound real quick so you guys can see that walkway light along the back there. They all pretty much look like that. That's why I didn't bother spinning around each locomotive and getting all fancy pants. They're all pretty much the same style there. So let's go ahead and let's see these locomotives in action. And then we'll head over to the workbench, take the shell off one, and see what the inside looks like. All right, everybody, so we're over here at the workbench now. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get the shell off of our Santa Fe 5177 here. Kind of take a look around the innards here and just see what all ScaleTrains has going on the inside of these units. You want to be kind of careful. You know, you get one of them fancy pants foam cradles to do this kind of stuff with. As you guys can tell, old Steve's a little lazy. And Steve's just going to do it here on the paper towel because I'm not going to press down really while I'm doing this on the shell or anything. So I shouldn't have any issue with detail parts coming off. I'm just going to lightly let the screwdriver go down here onto the screw. Pull our coupler box screws out. Remove our coupler boxes. And then we should be good to lift our shell right off now. This is where it's going to be a little bit of fun, because I got to try and wiggle this thing out without knocking any of our MU hoses off the front there, but managed to get her done. And of course, I always take my coupler box screws and put them back in the coupler box so they don't go flying into the land of carpet abyss. So we're going to go ahead and we'll do our rear one now. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to show it in the overall video here, but I actually just tried to do this with the CSX unit. I'm probably going to cut that out. And found out that the plow blocks the coupler box. So it's one of them modern style giant plows. And I couldn't get the plow to come off, and I almost broke it trying to get it off. So the shell's staying on that one. I'm not going to break a plow just to get a shell off on something for demonstrational purposes when I've got 3 other units I can do that with. So now what we're going to go ahead and do here is we're just going to very gently kind of pull in the center here and wiggle. You can see me doing the finger wiggle just to kind of get our shell a little bit loose. And we're going to lift it off. I'm going to turn it around the other way here. And probably move my couplers and coupler boxes. So we have our shells kind of loose now. So now I'm just going to gently lift from both ends and pull it away. And like magic, there it is for all of your enjoyment, guys. There's the inside. Now, go ahead and get the light angled a little bit better here. So with these ScaleTrains units, a lot of what you're going to see in here is they do all of their like step lighting, number board lighting, rear headlight lighting is all mounted right off the chassis. So you'll see the little box deals in there. You'll see the little spots where they have the lights that go through the shell. So looks like we got our front light and our walkway lights. And then up here in the front, if that'll focus, focus. There we go. There's those right there, those brass colored deals in the circles there. Those are your contact tabs for your front ditch lights right there. Because ScaleTrains mounts LEDs in the actual ditch light housing, and then they use those contact pads to connect it to the frame, so that way you can pull your whole shell off as I'm doing right here, right now. Now, otherwise, this pretty much looks like your typical ScaleTrains SD40-2. I don't really see anything different going on here at the inside, which I like. I kind of like it when they leave things the same, and you kind of get a good idea what's going on. And one other small note I'd like to make, if I get this to focus here. When I was actually looking at this locomotive before, during my take a look at it deal, I noticed these little squares on the sill here, and I didn't quite know what they were for. It almost looked to me like they painted over a sill from another model or something that had some kind of reflective stripe frames. And well, guys, that's because I'm an idiot and I didn't think that, you know, these actually had reflective squares on them. I looked at some prototype photos and I found some that showed that. So those are correct. It just looks kind of odd because of the shades of the yellow and all that. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a little bit closer look at our motor and drive assembly here. Again, from everything I'm seeing, this is your pretty typical ScaleTrains deal. Looks like the only changes I'm seeing here, which I don't know if I like them really. They've started going to these connectors that clip into the board. I'm not a fan of that. So up until now, all of the ScaleTrains boards always had little solder pads that you could solder to and add lights, etc. And it's been the same board since they started. I might have one if I can find it. Here it is. So this is the original, the OG one right here. As you guys can see, with the little keep alive capacitors on the bottom. So technically should sit this way, because if you look in there, you could kind of see those keep alive capacitors. But basically, they used to have these little solder pads that I really enjoyed, just because it made adding lights easier. And it looks like now ScaleTrains has went to a plastic plug, which I personally can't stand. I don't like plastic clip-in plugs. I'm not a fan. Any of you that watch me do my Atlas builds, you'll watch me cut off those things 100 times over, because I can't stand them. I'm not a big fan of plastics, but otherwise it looks like it's pretty much a very similar deal. Looks like they might have cleaned up some stuff and made some stuff more neat. I'd be curious to see what all's here as far as if they put any more functions here on the board that you could use or anything. That would be kind of interesting to me to find out. But otherwise, it's kind of same deal as always. You got your speaker housings up in this region. So if any of you want to swap out to like a Scale Sound speaker or anything, it's a bit of a bear of a project on these. You got to pretty much loosen this entire top pieces of weight. You can kind of see the seam that runs along. You have to loosen all this, loosen the wires, and then you could get up inside of here for your speaker to get in there and change that. A little bit of a pain in the rear end, if you ask me, but that's the way these are designed. That's why they have the good weight they have and good pulling power. Now, I'll also note here, as you can see, we have our number board lights. They are piped in from back here, which for the number boards is perfectly fine, because I think it kind of gives them that dim look like they need to have, so they're prototypical. So that's a good deal there. And then, of course, we have our nose headlight up here, which was fairly bright. Some of you might have remembered I mentioned that it seemed like the lower headlight was a bit dim, and I believe I see why now, because if I can zoom in on this here, you guys can see this red wire sticking up here, these two wires. I believe those might have been in the way of my light a little bit, and that might have been why the bottom light wasn't getting all the lumens, or whatever you'd want to call them. But one thing I'll note here, I'm not sure if I like, is they only have one LED in there. I'd like to see two separate LEDs for the headlight. It looks like there's room for one underneath. That's kind of strange that there's only one. Maybe somebody at the old factory got a little bored and didn't feel like doing their whole job. I don't know. Strange. And then, of course, here's our rear end deal here. Again, with your walkway light down there and your headlight up here at the top. Did our top headlight get two LEDs, or did it just get one? It got one. Okay, it's only supposed to have one, so all right. But overall, guys, this is the insides of a ScaleTrains SD40-2. Again, not really a lot different. Pretty much still the same deal we've been going with for a long time here. Same stuff that they've always been using. The only thing they changed is the board, and I don't know how I feel about that. I really liked having these solder pads. I really did. It could be a bit confusing at first, because they don't label them by function number. They'll use, like, these three pads were for the class lights, so they have green, red, and white. And I don't remember what auxiliary those were, but it was in the locomotive manual, so kind of bummed that they changed that, but what are you gonna do? That's kind of life. Things change, and you gotta try to make them work the best you can. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the shell back on and put this back in the box, and I'll kind of give you guys my closing thoughts while I do all that.
All right, everyone. So now my closing thoughts and remarks here, and what did I think of this run of ScaleTrains SD40-2's, and well, as you guys saw when we did the unboxing and we kind of started looking at some of the details and stuff, I did have some minor issues with, I had a lift ring missing on a CSX unit, a plow loose on a BN unit, as well as the sanding lines, and a Santa Fe unit that had a sand filler hatch knocked off. Now, it is frustrating to have those problems, but at the same time, it wasn't anything that I'm going to need to send back in or anything. It's not like a motor wasn't working or, you know, there's grinding noise in the gears or anything like that. It was all just minor detail stuff. And while it is frustrating and annoying, it's just kind of the way it goes anymore. It's just the luck we're getting as far as pretty much from any manufacturer. They're all seeming to have problems with that. And part of me doesn't wonder if it isn't from the shipping services just throwing packages around. You know, I may or may not have worked for a one of the package delivery companies when I was younger as a loader, so I may or may not know how packages used to be handled, and that was, gosh, 15 years ago now, so I couldn't imagine what they do with them these days, and that kind of makes me wonder if maybe that isn't why we have so many detail parts loose. I mean, that doesn't excuse the fact that they probably should have been glued in a little bit better, but at the same time, I'm not going to flip out about it. It's nothing that can't be easily fixed and easily dealt with. Overall, the actual locomotives themselves and the paint, everything, I was very happy with. The sounds great. I think they might have put a new speaker in these. And to be truthful, if they were a little bit cheaper, I probably would have bought a bunch more of them. And, well, for that matter, I'll kind of level with you guys. I did buy 2 more CSX ones after filming this because, well, I was really impressed with them. But that is one thing I want to, I guess that is one of the only faults I'll make with these is ScaleTrains gave me all these 90s units at once. It would have been nice if they would have spaced them out a little bit. And what I mean by that is, you know, all the different railroads they're doing now and all the different eras and stuff. It'd be kind of nice if they could kind of do like, you know, some 70s ones in one run, some 80s ones, 90s ones, and 2000s, but make it just like do Santa Fe in the 70s in a run with Union Pacific in the 80s and Norfolk Southern in the 90s and BNSF in the 2000s or something like that, to where you have a locomotive from every era in each run, you know what I mean? Just to kind of help soften the blow a little bit for us guys, because as you guys can see, trying to get all these 90s ones in one go is, it's a bit rough on the old wallet. I hope in the future maybe they start to space things out a little bit more as far as all that goes. But as always, guys, I want to thank you guys all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at these. If you're on the fence about getting them and you're not sure, I say go get them. You'll regret it, and you'll be paying way more down the road for them if you don't. So, as always, let me know what you thought of them if you did get them, if you had any issues. I know I've already started seeing a few things on Facebook with other people having similar issues as I did as far as parts being loose and stuff. But as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.